One of the most important components of wrestling is ring names. A wrestler can work without performing intricate maneuvers, having great promo abilities, or even having a unique persona, but they still need a wrestling name that spectators remember. Hello and welcome back to our channel. Today, we're talking about how different WWE superstars got their wrestling or stage names. Professional wrestling may be scripted, and not all in-ring injuries are as bad as they appear, but it's also not what you'd call phony. One aspect of the sport that is always made up is the names under which the wrestlers compete. While there are a few wrestlers whose ring names match the ones of their birth certificates, for the most part, if you go into wrestling, you're in for a name change whether you want it or not. Number 1. Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho, also known as Y2J, Le Champion, The Wizard, and less commonly Christopher Keith Irving, is a talented all-around wrestler, but one skill he appears to lack is the ability to choose a solid ring name in the first try. As he revealed on the Rich Eisen show, he had wanted to nickname himself Jack Action at first. Yes, indeed. He said, "I thought it was going to make me $1 million. It wasn't until Jericho told someone else about his plan and they informed him, 'You can't be Jack Action, that's stupid,' that he understood he was right. He pretended that the name was a joke, but was then forced to come up with a better one on the fly at the moment. Jericho happened to come upon the album Walls of Jericho by German power metal band Halloween. He got not just a respectable ring moniker, but also very dramatic finishing moves in that split second. Number 2. CM Punk. CM Punk has worked for many different organizations, including WCW, ROH, WWE, and UFC, and he's now a top star with AEW, yet he has only used one ring moniker for the majority of his career. In terms of meaning, the final name obviously connects to his chosen musical genre. Punk, on the other hand, has always sought to remain a mystery when it comes to the initials CM. In an interview with IGN during his WWE stint, he stated, "Every time someone asks me, I tell them something different." One of the explanations he's given is that it stands for the Simpsons character C. Montgomery Burns, Chicago made, because he is made from the Windy City, Chuck Mosley, who claims that is his true name, and even Crooked Moonsault, Charles Manson, and Cookie Monster. The true roots of CM, on the other hand, are something Punk may feel a little ashamed of. The initials really stand for Chick Magnet, as he used to be a member of a tag team called that. So, how do we know this isn't simply another work of fiction by prolific author Punk? According to Sports Illustrated, he testified under oath about the origin of his name during court procedures in 2018. Number 3. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Ricky, dubbed the Dragon Steamboat, is one of the few WWE wrestlers who has never turned heel. In reality, his ring moniker is derived from his permanent babyface position. Steamboat said on the Stories with Briscoe and Bradshaw podcast that he'd been wrestling in the Independents as Ricky Blood. When he traveled down to Florida to meet with promoter Eddie Graham, Graham informed him that while Rick Blood was a great wrestling name, Blood, that's for heels, because the future Dragon wasn't starting a heel run at that time. Graham opted to book him as the nephew of Sammy Steamboat, another Hawaiian wrestler who'd wrestled the territories a decade or so earlier. Sammy Steamboat was a major name back in the day, therefore his kayfabe nephew was a tremendous hit. As a result, the newly christened Ricky Steamboat would go by that moniker for the remainder of his career. The Dragon part came in 1985 when Steamboat began working for WWF. Because Steamboat is half Japanese, WWF chose to give him a full Asian dragon gimmick name, replete with moniker and Japanese-inspired ring attire. When Jake the Snake Roberts brought out his pet python, Steamboat saw it and paired him with the Komodo dragon. Number 4. Stone Cold Steve Austin. Wrestling may be overrun with Austins these days, but only one deserves his own scripture. Austin 316, Steve Austin has wrestled under that moniker since his early career, despite the fact that his birth name is Steven Anderson. There's not much information on how or why the Austin name was chosen, although it appears to be a reference to his non-kayfabe Texas heritage. However, when it comes to the Stone Cold, there was a well-documented narrative behind it. In WCW, Steve Austin was dubbed Stunning, where in ECW, he was dubbed Superstar. When he first joined the WWF, he was struck with the Ringmaster character, which he was obviously eager to replace with something more terrifying. Austin submitted this concept to WWE Creative after seeing a documentary about a serial murder dubbed the Iceman, but as he later told Larry King, they came up with the worst names I'd seen in the history of my life. Otto von Ruthless, Ice Dagger, Bang McFrost. Fortunately, assistance would soon arrive in the most unexpected of ways. Austin's now ex-wife, British Jeannie Clark, poured him tea and advised him to consume it quickly before it became stone cold. A light bulb went and a legend was born, all because of a cup of tea. Who'd have guessed? We'd always imagined Austin was only interested in beer. Number 5. Undertaker. Since he's been violating kayfabe left, right, and center since his retirement, we now know that the frightening Undertaker is actually an amicable man called Mark Calloway. His ring name, on the other hand, is more of a job descriptor than a moniker. However, the whole man with no name gimmick harkens back to the spaghetti western genre, which appears to have had a strong effect on the character. However, the Undertaker persona did have another name at one point. According to Bleacher Report, his surname was supposed to be Kane. Seriously, Kane the Undertaker was the moniker that the WWF came with, but the announcers kept leaving out the Kane portion, so they decided to store it for later use when a brother appeared. In terms of the Dead Man persona and its moniker, it appears that Vince McMahon was responsible for the concept of a Wild West gravedigger. According to the phenomenon, one day while at home the phone rang and he picked it up to hear a very distinct gravelly voice inquire, "Is this the Undertaker?" He thought to himself, "Undertaker, that's pretty freaking cool," especially in comparison to some of the other gimmicks he'd been given. The new Undertaker was on board right away, and he was happy to spend the next 30 years digging holes and taking souls. Number 6. Cactus Jack. Cactus Jack was not Mick Foley's first alter ego, but it was the one under which he originally made his bones. Surprisingly, this vibrant figure was intended to be a little more than a placeholder. In a column for Sports Illustrated, Foley stated, "I only intended to be Cactus Jack long enough to learn the ropes and develop enough confidence to become the man I really thought I was destined to become. Dude love." It's amazing how things work out. In terms of how Foley came up with this generic boring name, it appears he got it from a 1979 film called The Villain, which starred Kirk Douglas as a pre-Terminator Arnold Schwarzenegger. But being Foley, there's much more to the story than a comedic western. According to WWE, Foley and his father used to play a wrestling-themed board game, and Cactus Jack was the moniker he gave to his father's in-game identity to respect the Douglas film. Therefore, the name is an homage to his father. In recent years, Foley has faced competition for the moniker from rapper Travis Scott, who is also the namesake of Mickey D's Cactus Jack meal, which has no doubt saddened innumerable wrestling fans. While WWE fought Scott's efforts to trademark the Cactus Jack moniker, Foley is now attempting to get the rights himself. Thank you for watching the video. Like and subscribe to the channel. See you next time.